Sigvaldi's perspective. I sit in the Atmocraft, 7 other armed system defense force personnel under my command. The crash scar comes into view as we approach it. Looking out the window through the clear polymer of my helmet's faceplate as we descend upon the unresponsive craft, I feel a sudden alarm at what I see. I open the line and bark, "Command! Lieutenant Kettleson! Request status of weapons employment against the vessel. Over." There is a brief pause before the woman on the other end answers, "Negative. No weapon employment authorized or executed in system. Any damage observed predates entry. Over." I frown at the craft and add, "Command, be advised. Craft appears non-done in design and construction. Possible Terran origin. Over." "Acknowledged, Lieutenant. Out!" she finishes as we set down. The ramp lowers, and the 8 of us stride down it to cross the remaining distance to our objective. The scale and English lettering printed on the hatch both confirm the likely Terran origin of the craft. I look in through the window and see no Terrans, counting 3 Dawn and about 2 dozen people in total. Some are completely still, most are writhing in what looks like agony. None look fit to open the door for us. "Be advised, deploying plasma," I bark to my team, who all immediately back away to the requisite distance from me. I draw my Langsverro from my hip and ignite it, plunging it into the fuselage, where I guess the lock to be once it's white hot and pushing it downward. The latch fails and the door swings inward, dribbling a small line of molten metal on the ground. "Watch the door and mind your feet, hot metal," I instruct my team as I stride aboard. Looking around, I see no one who looks able to offer resistance. With the opening comms, I relay, "Command! Lieutenant Kettleson, situation assessment. Craft contains numerous Garden World refugees in critical condition. Various species, all humanoid. Request immediate medical evacuation. Over." "Copy. We'll arrange and advise with updates. Over." I turn to our medic and command, "Odilithson, establish triage. Prioritize those in critical condition. Keep them stable until the medevac arrives." As he begins searching for the worst off of them, I search for one who could tell me what the hell happened here. Why is a Terran-made ship coming from Don Olu with numerous people, neither Terran nor Don aboard, in critical condition, and crashing into my planet? Why are they all humanoids? Why are they all so scantily dressed? My first inclination is to walk to the front of the shuttle. The one in the pilot's chair is a short-haired Dawn woman. Most of her right ear is missing, and all 24 of her claws are being removed. Not filed down, removed. Each of her 6 limbs ends in 4 digits, with clear masses of scar tissue at their tips from her declawing. Her teeth are bared in a pain grimace, and I can see all 4 of her fangs have been ground down to the level of her other teeth, giving them an uncannily human-like appearance. It's nauseating. Her clothing exposes the majority of her skin. If this crash had happened in winter, I'd fear death by exposure for all of them, just from the door being open. She looks conscious and lucid, though clearly in agony. "Ma'am, are you able to speak?" I ask in New Norse. A moment before I realize she's not wearing a translator, and will be unlikely to understand me. "Call... Klar," she chokes, surprising me by speaking English, and raising her upper arms to frantically point at the thing around her neck. "Nerve, Jack, pain." With horror, I shout, "Grimmerswold out here! Interference field, now!" The ensign fumbles slightly as she taps at her wrist, but the groans of pain are quickly replaced by gasps of relief as the field envelops the ship and nullifies the ghastly colors the refugees all wear. I turn back to the mutilated Dawn woman, where she sits panting for breath in a pilot's chair, much too small for her, and ask, "What's your name, ma'am? Would you tell me what happened here?" She collapses against the seat back and, still speaking in flawless English, wheezes, "I am Torol, former princess of Clan Oria, of Don Olu, widow of Prince Voon of Clan Oria. Take me to the hall of the ambassadors, Katrin Berserker Poradottir and Heidi Valkyrie Arnadottir. I need to see my children." I frown up at her. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't know who those women are, and the only place any of you are going for the moment is to a hospital. MA0219I 164A's perspective. This instance of my consciousness arrived on this planet 4 hours, 31 minutes, 51.3 seconds ago, and immediately picked up the droid body I'd reserved well ahead of time. It stands at 195 centimeters, making me on the taller side, which is my preference. After I had finished troubleshooting any potential issues with it, I communicated with the local transport AI to arrange a capsule pickup. I am currently flying to Victor's wedding, along with numerous others who I presume are guests, living locally. Once the ceremony is over, I will transport back and my memories of it will be reincorporated into my main consciousness, currently back on Earth, tending to my orphanage. The horrified reactions organics have whenever I explain the process of creating and reabsorbing copies of my own being are quite hilarious. To most, it would sound as if I were born hours ago and will be dead again by this time tomorrow, which, while not entirely inaccurate in its characterization, is misleading in how existentially gruesome it makes the process sound. I won't be dead, so much as reunited into a single being. I see the crowd of ceremony attendees, most of them Terrans, but quite a few of my former charges' brides-to-be species, as well as numerous other garden warders of neither species. Then, my facial scanning detects someone who simply cannot be here. Her presence is so impossible that my perceiving it indicates that a catastrophic error has occurred in the creation of this copy of myself. Either I am remembering a woman as being dead, who is in fact alive, or I am perceiving a dead woman who is not, in fact, there. There was no twin. I remember that she was an only child. I stride up to the woman standing alone in the crowd. She looks up at me with mild alarm, and without recognition for the elastomer face molded into a shape that she would recognize. "How are you here, Esme?" I demand of the red-headed girl. "You were killed in action on New Australia. Victor's visited your grave there. How's this possible?" Realization breaks over her face, and in a recognizable voice, but speaking in an unrecognizable accent, the woman clarifies. "Oh, sorry. Yeah, you must be Maya. I'm not Esme Taylor. My name's Cara Stellan. It's nice to meet you." Extending a hand to me. I look at it even more confused than before. Without accepting the handshake, I say, "I'm afraid I'm going to need further explanation." The one wearing the face of a dead woman says, looking around as if for someone who can help her articulate herself before turning back and saying, "I'm a clone of Esme. I didn't know until a little more than a year and a half ago when I met Victor for the first time. The whole thing threw both of us for a loop." "I imagine it would," I observe, alarmed. "How did Esme Taylor end up having a clone made of herself?" She didn't. She never knew anything about me. I was made from material collected posthumously. Even more distressed by that, I ask, "By who?" She pulls up the left leg of her suit trousers to reveal an ankle monitor and bitterly says, "Same people who are the reason I had to come here on day release from medium security. The Revankists. They created me and probably lots more like me to do their dirty work for them." "I see," I say, stupefied, turning to go. "Well, Miss Stellan, I'm sorry for the confusion and—" "Wait," she says, catching the droid's arm and pulling me backwards slightly. I turn to where she's looking up at me, the emerald green eyes she shares with the boy I raised, sparkling hopefully. "You knew her, right? You remember her?" "Yes. She came to my orphanage for 9 appointments with Victor's dad during their time at Sandhurst. We didn't socialize exactly, but I spent many hours with her." "Could you tell me about her? About both of them?" she asks, with a pain I've seen more than my fair share of over the centuries. The pain of a child who's never known a parent. I affect a chuckle and answer, "I guess. Sure. What do you want to know?"
Toon's perspective.
I walk down the gap between the seats in the Hof beside Mama Heidi, my hair intricately braided and wearing the finest dress I've ever worn. My mamas tell me it's blue to represent serenity, all except the sleeve cuffs, which are green for nurture. It's apparently a good match to my birth mother's silver tiara I'm wearing, the corundum gems mounted into it happening to be the variety humans identify as sapphires for being blue, not rubies for being red. On either side of me are a vast crowd of loved ones from here, from Don Koru, from the Bright Plume, and a few that I've not met before, like the Kreskar, doing his best attempt at sulking in the non-existent shadows on my left. The idea of having Groom's family on one side and Briar's on the other was quickly nixed when it became apparent just how many more of my loved ones there would be here than his, so both sides are a mixture of those who know me better, and those who know us both, and those who know him better. I see the man I'm about to marry standing at the head of the room on my left, her right, of Mama Cat. Behind him are Mage, Krish, the captain and Treg, acting as his groomsmen and women. On the right where I'm about to arrive are Bassa, Arsi, Helga, Samus and Mouse, acting as my bridesmaids. He has his hair up in a bun at the top back of his head. I'm just lamenting the fact that I can't see what colour the breathtakingly gorgeous suit he's wearing is, when his sister bends down, coming back up with a hand-painted sign reading green and a little red, the arrow pointed at him. A chuckle goes around the room at her accommodation for my monochromancy. Green for nurture and red for passion. It's a surprise, but thinking about it, it suits him better than the mostly or entirely red suit I'd assumed he'd wear. I reach the front, and Mama Heidi leaves me to take her reserved seat in the front row. I stand, staring at Victor, my heart bursting with joy. "Brothers and sisters," booms Mama Cat from between us, "we gather here today in this house of the gods to see these two joined together in marriage. We shall begin with the sword gifting. Would the bearer of the swords come forth?" I look to my left to see a large mass of darkness traversing the aisle on 6 paws, a long box slung at each of her front shoulders. Fluffy pads up to the front and sits down between me and Victor on the opposite side to Mama Cat. "I ask the groom to present his sword to the bride," bellows my priestess mother. Victor bends down to open the long box on the far shoulder from me. I feel the purest joy as I watch him withdraw a magnificent-looking sheathed plasmajan, with the engagement ring I swapped back with him a few days ago, attached. The man, mere moments from becoming my husband, extends the beautiful blade to me, handle first. I receive it in my lower arms and hold it horizontal to the ground in front of me. He reaches out to where the ring is bound and grips it between his thumb and forefinger, deftly tugging out the bow and the ribbon with his other hand. "Take my lineage into your keeping. Hold it well," he says, as he slips the ring back onto the finger where it belongs. I gasp a little as I realize he just spoke the words in New Norse, the meaning coming across both to my ears and through my translator. "I will," I answer, managing not to choke up from the overwhelming emotion. My mama's smirk lets me know that she was fully aware of that little surprise. He steps back to his position, and I turn to hand the perfectly weighted, perfectly balanced, perfectly lengthened, perfectly fitting sword to my oldest sister to hold for the remainder of the ceremony. "I ask the bride to present her weapon to the groom," Mama Cat instructs. I feel a brief swoop of anxiety through my stomach as I bend to retrieve what I picked up from Brocker's forge while Victor was on his bachelor party hike. The sword he gave me was so flawless, nothing could possibly measure up. I feel the doubt, and let it pass, pulling the currently 40cm long, woods-patterned, dark metal cylinder with his engagement ring tied around it from the box. I step to him and see his eyes sparkle as he discerns what I hold. I reach out and place the telescopic Durasteel staff into his upturned palms. Bringing my wedding-ringed hand to hold his ring, I pull out the bow. Victor takes his left hand from my sword gift to splay his fingers. Slipping what in that moment becomes his wedding ring onto his ring finger, I speak. "Take my honor into your keeping. Bear it with integrity." "I will," he answers, all the love ever kindled by Freya blazing in his eyes. I step back to my place, and Victor turns to hand my staff to his sister, who holds it in her left hand, her right reaching down to scritch Fluffy between the ears, as she joins her behind him, sensing her role as swordbearer to be discharged and admirably. I ask the bride and groom to step forth and join their hands, that they may be made fast. Victor turns left and I turn right, both to face Mama Cat. We step forward, each raising a hand to press together between us. I hold out the ribbon from the jian Victor gave me, and he holds out the one from the staff I gave him. She takes them both and draws them together in her hands. The double cord is wound around us, joining our hands and lives into one. Victor's perspective. Maya won the brawl up after the ceremony, managing to get back to the meat hall from the shuttle park a few meters ahead of Vol. She says she has no idea her rented body could run so fast, but I'm suspicious of that. Anyway, it's now the duty of the right side guests to serve the left side guests drinks all night. Any time any of the guests bang cutlery against their meat horns at us, me and Toon have to kiss, which is less annoying than the need to kiss under a table when feet are stamped. My wife leans close to me and smiles. So, when did you start learning new Norse, Victor? Already visibly affected by the half horn of honey wine she's put away. Before I proposed. I was originally planning to speak it for the proposal, but it was still bad enough at that point that I reckoned you'd end up laughing at me for it. Didn't want to ruin the moment for you. I smile back, speaking her language, now that I don't have to hide that I can. I'm glad you did. It was a lovely surprise finding that out on the Stali. Though, to be clear, I would still have said yes even if your proposal was in broken Norse, she beams. Never doubt it, baby, I grin. How did you find it? Was it hard? She asks curiously. Actually much easier than I thought it'd be. I was already about halfway there from knowing Old English. Hey, you gonna tell me about this place you picked out for our honeymoon, or's that... Still a surprise, Victor, she giggles. You get to spend 2 years not telling me you were learning, and then had learned New Norse. I get to see your reaction to the venue where we'll be spending the next 2 weeks all alone together as you see it. Fair enough, I chuckle, throwing my hands up. This point I notice the band mounting the Starly, where we're sitting, and begin saying, hey. I think... My brothers and sisters, I ask all of you to clear the dance floor for Toonie and Victor's first dance as husband and wife, announces Katrin's amplified voice. My wife and I stand from the table and make our way down from the dais to the space cleared in front of it. I turn to face her, looking the most radiant she's ever been, as the band starts playing a bouncy tune. I wrap my left arm around her back between her two right ones. Her lower left arm comes to my right side, and my right hand holds the one it was bound to for our vow exchange and pronouncement as married in Odin's eye. We dance as the vocalist begins to sing, her voice bright and clear, and the lyrics surprisingly English. By flame and earth, by field and tide, together as kin by fate and pride, Freya grants our harvest bright, Thor guards us through the longest night. Raise the horn, let oaths be sung, a union where all can belong. By hands entwined and gods made wise, our love grows under endless skies. Kara's perspective. I sit by the door of the meat hall, waiting for the transport to come and take me back to prison. Most of the other guests have already left. This has been good for me, this party. I'm sad it's over. I never attended any parties like this back in Bastion. There's a certain irony in the happiest times of my life so far, having been after I got incarcerated. Hearing the sound of a vehicle landing, I stand up and turn to look out of the doors, expecting to see the logo of Listenvangia Medium Security Women's Prison on the side of it as it comes down. I don't. The vehicle that lands is certainly a Fennoscandian government agency's, but beyond that I don't recognize it. An average-sized black woman and a large, extremely pale white man with a thick beard stepped from the craft, both of them having their hair neatly done up in buns and wearing matching monochromatic suits. The pair begin making their way up the path to where I stand, faces expressionless. Something about the weirdness of this situation puts me so much on edge that I jump out of my skin when the blonde, giantess priestess slides into my peripheral vision. She doesn't react to my yelp, just looking down the hill at the G-woman and G-man walking up it. As they approach, she raises her voice to shout, "I'm afraid you've missed the majority of the festivities, strangers, but you'll be welcome to come in for whatever remains if you wish." Her tone mostly jovial, but concealing a definite hard edge. "I'm afraid we aren't here to socialize, Gorja," answers the woman, her tone dead flat. "My name is Agent Nyansusdottir, and this is Agent Kolsvinsson. Apologies for the late hour. We're here to ask you and several others we're given to believe are attending this event to come with us." "Why?" asks the enormous woman at my side, suspiciously. "We will brief you all en route, ma'am. Could I just ask you, Ambassador Heidi Valkyrie Arnadottir, Vol Stoic, son of Un, son of Tuls, Basa, princess, Toon, elf, Emiko, Smiles, Miyazaki, the most sagacious and perspicacious Hesek, and Karastellan, to make whatever preparations necessary and come with us." Shocked, I object. "Wait, what? What do you need me for? I can't go with you, I'm on day release. Lunds Vanguard are gonna think I'm trying to escape if I'm not here when the transport arrives." "Liz Vanguard have been appraised, Miss Stellan," answers the woman, turning an unnerving pair of brown eyes on me. "Your presence is required." Folding her arms and frowning down at the much smaller woman, the priestess says, "I'll ask my ping man to lock up for me once everyone else is gone, and then round up nearly everyone you want. But I'm afraid you've missed my younger daughter. The newly named Tun Elf Taylor just left for her honeymoon, and will be out of communication for the next 2 weeks."
Gordon's perspective.
The 1/3 ton man roars as he picks up the multiple-tongue table and flips it over onto the floor of the council chamber. The rest of us just stand back and glance at each other sidelong while he pants his fury away. This should not have been able to happen. 25 slaves, several of them belonging to people in this room, including 4 of mine, and 3 of Cyrus's own harem girls, should not have had the intelligence to slip through the gaps in security and make it off-world. It puts us in a precarious position. Without looking at her, Cyrus snaps his fingers, points to Cersei and fumes.
"Assessment, Stoker. How long do we have before the traitors navigate through their own bureaucracy to come here?"
3 months, Your Majesty, not less. After that, I can't say," she answers immediately, and at a normal speaking volume. He straightens his back to scowl over our heads.
"Then we must be gone in 2,
he announces, turning to us and ordering.
"Accelerate the time frame. Do not let the Lazarites, the slaves, or any visiting locals know why. Just get it done!"